Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge. Hopes everyone's doing well. I'm not doing particularly well. You know why I'm not doing particularly well? Because it's taken me fucking ages to get to go live tonight. I'm fucking had enough of it, mate. I've fucking had enough of it. I've been bloody waiting for 45 fucking minutes. 45 fucking minutes I've been waiting to go fucking live. 45 fucking minutes. Having a fucking laugh. What's going on, mate? What's going on? Fucking hell. Fucking hell's right. Bloody heck. 45 minutes. You've been missing out on me and I've been missing out on you. I'm fucking fuming. Anyway, we've got it working. Thanks everyone for your patience. Welcome to the United Stand. Glazers forced out. This is based on 3 or 4 strands, basically, coming from fans, of course, coming from government, and coming from football organisations. Is this going to be enough to force the Glazers out? I think there's a lot of talk at the moment about Glazers out, obviously, protests, European Super Leagues, 16 years of debt and money taken out of the club. But how realistic is it to remove the Glazers from the club? We'll be talking about that tonight. We'll also be talking a little bit about transfers as well in relation to what sort of transfer market we should be looking at in the summer. But I think most of all, the one thing I do want to talk about is, and look, I do read everybody's comment. I don't read all the comments. That's a lie. I'm fucking lying again. But that is a bit of a lie because I don't read every comment because it would be impossible. But I do read a lot of them. And one thing I do not want people to feel is that, I have said a few times that this battle to get the club away from the Glazers is going to be a very difficult one. Yesterday was a battle won. But I've got to say, and I've seen this from a lot of people, some people a lot older than me in relation to, when the Glazers first came in and the battles that were there. And, let's be clear here. There is positivity, and I don't want there to be negativity, because negativity may make people feel that, well, what's the point? I don't want people to feel that we haven't been in a situation like this before. We haven't done something like what happened like yesterday before. Getting a football game cancelled between Manchester United and Liverpool was a very big thing to happen. And that there has to be momentum and there has to be positivity around it. So don't ever feel that, look, as hard as it's going to be, that it's impossible. We've probably never had this sort of opportunity before, and we must grasp it and work together in unity and everything like that. And so that's very, very important. So let's talk about some of the things that are going on. Obviously, we've got the fan thing, but there has been 2 announcements today, one from the government and one from the Premier League, and one from the FA, not from the government, one from the FA, one from the Premier League, and the government are obviously going to be supporting those and looking at their own football review. So there's a 3-pronged attack, and I suppose the question is, are the Glazers being forced out of Manchester United? Well, they're certainly not in as a comfortable a position as they were 2 weeks ago when this European Super League had been dropped on our shoulders and they were talking about, this was for the benefit of football, when it was an absolute nightmare for football. So there are things happening. There is an owner's charter that the Premier League want to bring in. The FA are going to have a review in relation to the 6 Super League clubs involved in the Super League and maybe look at sanctions there. And obviously you've got the fans who are very, very pissed off as well. So there is lots and lots being done. Whether it's enough to force the Glazers out, look, at this stage, probably not. And I'll tell you for why. But I'd certainly say that there are a lot of things going on, and certainly the ownership of Manchester United for the Glazers may not be as prosperous and advantageous in the future as they thought. I mean, they thought and were working on a Super League for a couple of years by all accounts. That's not going to be able to happen anymore. The Premier League's owner charter that they're going to bring in isn't really something to get excited about. What the Premier League's owner's charter is going to be is that basically every owner of a Premier League club has to sign up to something that means that if they leave the Super League, there'll be massive sanctions. Leave the Premier League, there'll be massive sanctions. This is the Premier League closing a door off to a future Super League, which is good, but obviously that's self-serving for the Premier League. And let's not pretend the Premier League is the great bastion of football. It is greedy itself. It's not as bad as a Super League by a long way, but it's definitely, it closes the door off to a Super League, which, closes the door off for the Glazers. The FA are going to review the 6 Super League clubs that tried to go into the Super League. They're going to have a look and investigation into that, and then look at, potential punishments for that. I mean, whether they'll be severe or not, I do not know. And we've got the fans looking at, the fans' protests as well. So if you are the Glazers, look. And when I say the Glazers, I include Richard Arnold, I include Ed Woodward, I include Neil Ashton, I include everybody who's on that board who's trying to spin this around into a positive, because ultimately the Glazers will want to keep hold of this football club, and they'll look at doing that in many, many different ways. But the situation is not as good as it was a couple of weeks ago, and we need that. We need that 3, 4, 5-pronged attack. We need the government to do something as well. Very interesting from Boris Johnson today, condoning the vandalism, or whatever you want to call what some minority United fans did yesterday. But on the other hand, saying, you can understand why people were protesting. So, look, we need more. We need more. There's talk of Manchester United versus Liverpool being rearranged to the middle of May. And there is talk of a protest for that day as well. So, look, I said yesterday I'm not so sure that another protest is a good idea. That doesn't mean it's a bad idea. I just hope that people, that if we do another protest, will the club be better prepared? Will there be the numbers there that there were yesterday? These are the things that you need to look at, and I think we need to look at other areas as well. What's your thoughts on fans staying out of the ground and not buying shirts, etc., says Greg Johnson. Well, I seem to remember AC Milan emptied the stadium, didn't they, at the San Siro, just before they were bought. And although I think Berlusconi was trying to sell the club for a number of years, it was still very effective. I still think that money is the way to get to the Glazers. And, I've got to be honest, I am quite an empathetic person, and even when I say it, it's part of me. Why? Why do I feel sorry for saying this? I don't know why. I don't know why I do. It doesn't make any sense. But if you want to get the Glazers, you get them in the pocket, because that's why they bought United. They didn't buy United because they loved the Busby Babes, or they loved Sir Matt Busby, or they loved George Best, or they loved Brian Robson. They bought it because they love money. That's why they bought the club. The biggest hint is there. If you want to hurt the Glazers, hurt them in the pockets. It's very easy to do that. Well, it's not very easy to do that, but it's the not every enemy, or whatever you want to call them, will expose a weakness. Their weakness is their pockets. If you can get their money and not give them money, then it's suddenly not viable. I had somebody say to me today, because I said that there was some report today that United might get a points deduction. And we'll talk about what Manchester United Football Club have said about the yesterday protest in a minute. But there was people talking about... this is a North Face jacket. I don't know why people are talking about it. Yeah, I've literally been at football practice, so it was pissing it down with rain. So this was my underlayer. The overlay is wet, wet, wet. Marty Pello was on my shoulder singing "Caught Up in My Wishing Well." I said, piss off, Marty. I'm wet enough. If games kept getting cancelled, will we lose points? Surely Glazers will eventually have to sell due to effect on sponsorship for Premier League and Adidas, says FIFA Crazy. Well, look, this is what I was going to say. There was talk today about Manchester United getting a points deduction for yesterday and the points going to Liverpool. Now, this is only my opinion. If you don't like it, I'm sure there's plenty of other opinions you don't like of mine. That's not what the United Stand's all about. It's not about my opinion. It's about me saying something, or Flex saying something, or Jay, or Alex, or anybody else. You might agree with it. It might make you think, well, I like that, but I like something else. Or you might totally disagree with it. But what I'd say about this is, if United get drop points, then I'm not bothered. I'm not really bothered if Man United get drop points, because the only points I want is the removal of the Glazers from Manchester United Football Club. I'm totally on board that we might have some short-term pain for long-term gain. Look, what I and many other people are proposing is that we actually hit them in the wallet. That means you don't buy a Man United shirt. That means you unsubscribe from MUTV. That means, and the match day fans stop going to the game. They stand outside. I don't know, but this, there will be short-term pain. People saying, well, it's not Ollie's fault and it's not the players' fault. It's not. But I tell you what, Ollie gets paid good money and the players get paid good money. And look, I'm sure it will be disruptive for them. But ultimately, do you want another 15 years of the Glazers, or do you want a year or 6 months or 3 months of, a little bit of disruption in relation to, short-termism? I think you either really want the Glazers out of this football club, and if you want them out of this football club, you're not really bothered about games getting cancelled. You're not really bothered about points being deducted. You're not really bothered about the stock price going down. You're not really bothered with Adidas being pissed off with United, because ultimately all those things can come back. This is disruption tactics. That's what it is. It's not about Man United are never going to play a game of football again. It's not about we want Man United to be deducted points forever. It's not about we want Man United to be poor forever. The reality is the fans drive the money into that football club. The fans should just turn the tap off, and we'll turn it back on when you're gone. It sounds very harsh, but it's true. You know, is it not our money anyway that the Glazers have got hold of? You know, so I don't know. I think it's a mindset for some people, isn't it, about how far you're willing to go. I don't really care about points being deducted if long term we can get rid of the Glazers. That's what it's all about. But I said it at the end of the show this morning, and I'll say it right now. To me, the big battle is not with the Glazers. It's with us. And I don't mean we need to fall out. I think we need to be united. I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes, says Steph Jenks. Yeah, wet. The real simple way of looking at this, and look, I and nobody can tell you what to think. That's not how any United fan should be acting on here. And but the reality is, I think this may not be where the battle is won and lost, but it really does. It's a good example of what the battle is. Jadon Sancho signs for Manchester United and deliciously beautiful new kit gets released the same week. Do you buy it? Or do you not buy it? Are you Glazers in or are you Glazers out? Because if you buy the hype of Jadon Sancho signing and you buy the shirt with his name on his back, you are Glazers in. If you don't, you are Glazers out. Now, it might hurt you to not do it. You might be really gutted that you didn't buy that shirt. But ultimately, the Glazers are staying if you buy that Jadon Sancho shirt. And the Glazers might go if you don't. And that's the line. You personally make that choice. I know a lot of you are going to buy the shirt and be hyped by Jadon Sancho. Personally, I'll be hyped by Jadon Sancho signing for United, but I'm not buying the shirt. Because then I've got no right to moan about who the owners are when I'm putting money into their pocket. And look, I've got United jumpers. You've seen me wearing them. I've got United tracksuits. You don't see me wearing them anymore. I don't wear them anymore. Not because I don't like them, but because I don't really want to be somebody that says it's all right to, you know, what if someone sees that tracksuit and goes, oh, I'm going to buy that. I don't want people to do that. That's my personal choice. I want the Glazers to sell this football club, and I think that financially is why they're here. So, you know, Mark, can players speak out against the Glazers? I don't want the players to speak out, Mikael Roach. I don't want the players to speak out at all. I don't think we need the players to speak out. I think it would be counterproductive. I want the players to focus on the pitch. I want the players to win the Europa League. We've got an opportunity to do that. I don't expect the players or the manager to be involved in this. Hi Mark, I might have missed it, but have you seen John Champion being cut off on ESPN covering the Glazers out, says Mike Emery? We'll come back to that. Do you think Martial should be sold, says Ben Wild? I don't really think much about it at all at the moment, Ben, to be honest, but I don't think he will. But going back to the players and going back to John Champion being cut off on ESPN, and Bree Shaw says these owners pretending to be club owners do not care for sentiment. We need to relegate their assets and force them to find more profitable ventures, says Bree Shaw. You know, it's like Gary Neville says, sell the club and go. We'll talk about what could happen if they did sell the club. But going back to whether the players should get involved and going back to the John Champion on ESPN being cut off and talking about Jermaine Genius and Alan Shearer on Match of the Day last night and Graham Souness yesterday. The dangerous thing here is the ignorance that we are facing. The ignorance in the media that, you know, a few minority fans yesterday caused a few issues when the vast majority want the Glazers out. What do the media talk about? They talk about the minority and not the majority. And look, Boris Johnson and other government members have said, look, we don't condone any violence or trespassing, but, you know, protest, you can see fans have had enough. That's the message. But the ignorance of the media to focus on the minority, to not even understand why Manchester United fans are angry is in my opinion, really, really poor in what we're trying to achieve. And you know, I'm a firm believer, don't talk about something if you don't really understand about it. I've done it in my life. I've tried to get in a conversation and, you know, this is my opinion. And then somebody who really understands it goes and shuts you down. And you go, yeah, maybe I shouldn't really get into this debate because I don't know what I'm bloody talking about. And I think with the Glazers and Manchester United, this is bloody talk sport. This is Graham Souness. This is Sky. This is bloody the BBC. There's the three big football outlets there in the UK. All today have shown a total ignorance of why Manchester United fans want the Glazers out. I've heard things like the Glazers are good owners. I've heard the things that this is about Manchester United fans being greedy and wanting more. I've heard things about, you know, Manchester United, you know, the grass won't necessarily be greener. You know, this is all about the Super League. It's an overreaction to do what they've done. And look, dangerous. It's so dangerous that these people have these huge platforms and they manipulate a situation through nothing but pure ignorance. And I've said this before, I think we live in a world where the media can dictate. I mean, it always used to be when I was growing up, you had certain news outlets that were Labour and certain news outlets that were Conservative, the two big political parties in the UK. And in recent years, well, not, it's changed a bit with the online press, but in recent years, some of those newspapers would decide before a general election which party they were going to go with. And it would be a big deal if one of those went for a different party, because it's suddenly all the readers of that paper, they can manipulate. And this is what we're seeing here. There's a lot of disdain and distrust for Manchester United fans today in general. Man United fans, I've seen other rival fans taking pops at us for yesterday for various different reasons. And I think how sad that is that from 2 weeks ago, where I've never felt football as united as it was, 2 weeks later, we're manipulated and we're the villain in many people's eyes. And ultimately, why are we the villain? Why are we the villain? Six British clubs 2 weeks ago tried to destroy football through pure greed. They wanted to turn their back on the history of football and create some franchise money-making domination monopoly model that's uncompetitive and against sporting merit. And Manchester United fans have a protest yesterday, get a petition signed, and are looking at lots and lots of different ways to change the structure of the British game, and yet we're vilified by other fans and, more importantly, media outlets who've got no bloody understanding of what we're actually doing. This is a stand against the greed. This is a stand against people who want to destroy the game. But no, we must manipulate this situation even though we don't understand it. The Manchester United fan base has been fighting against the Glazers' ownership since day one, since before they got the club, and for years afterwards. The Super League is not the reason for yesterday. The Super League was something that galvanised fans and woke fans up. Admittedly, myself as well. I've always been Glazers out. I've never really liked the Glazers. But I've probably never had the kick up the arse like many people have to go, look, you know what? Enough is enough. This can't just be a Glazers out trending on Twitter. Oh, the season start. Let's all pick on the manager, whether it's Mourinho or Van Gaal or Ollie. This has to be a sustained movement now. And the only person I see talking about it who's not a Man United fan is Jamie Carragher. I saw him again on about it tonight. So, look, if you don't understand why Manchester United fans want the Glazers out and you think it's just about greed or wanting to be the best club in the world again, well, sorry here. But you know what? This is a little bit like, you've got lots of money and somebody's nicking it from you. Oh, sorry, I would like to live in a better house. But I'm not living in a better house because I've got this prat who's getting hold of all my money and spending it on their house. Oh, sorry that I'd like to have 3 or 4 Ferraris on my drive instead of 1. Because I can afford them, but I can't get the money because the prat who's got it is putting me into debt. I'm not going to apologise for Manchester United being the biggest club in England and the richest club in England. But we're not, because we're not able to do that. But Manchester United don't need Sheikh Mansour. I said it this morning. Manchester United don't need Roman Abramovich. We just need to be able to run our bloody club. Manchester United would make bloody loads of money. But we can't get it because it's tied up by the Glazers. And as I said this morning as well, don't come at me with Man United have spent £900 million in the last 10 years because they may as well have put it on a bonfire. They allowed idiots. They basically gave £900 million to people who were dressed in a clown wig and big clown shoes and with a big red nose on. Because that's basically Man United's board. They're not football people, they're bankers. With a B. Some would say a W. They are bankers. Are fans going back to Stadium versus Leicester? Can't we do something then? Says Oliver Smith. The media twisted yesterday. It feels like they've all thrown Man United fans under the bus, says Mai. And these should not affect the protesters. Every great revolution sees this phase, says Vinit. Well, look, unity is the most important thing. We need to stick together and there needs to be continued action. What I would say is Manchester United have come out and said that they're not bothered about people who were peacefully protesting, but those who were in the ground and committing, trespassing and things like that, they'll be looking to suspend, to take action against them, whether that's criminal action or it's banning them from the ground. You'd expect that sort of a statement from Manchester United, but Look, going back to what I said at the start, are the Glazers being forced out? The Premier League are going to basically tie Premier League clubs to the Premier League so they can't go into a Super League. That's a good thing, but it's self-serving for the Premier League. The FA are going to look at what's happened and maybe they're going to hand out some sanctions. I hope they do. We'll have to wait and see. But the fans can't sit back. I think what we've learned over the last couple of weeks is that 2 weeks ago, everybody was with the fans. Let's stop the Super League. Stop. It's war. It's all-out war against football. We've got to stop the Super League. When the Super League gets stopped, Man United fans don't forget about that. They run a protest, and those same people that were with us 2 weeks ago, they're against us now. So what's the lesson there? We can't look at the Premier League looking at their owners' charter. We can't look at the FA looking at what they're going to do. We can't rely on anybody but ourselves as fans. And we either stop after yesterday or we go again and again and again. And I think in the absence of anybody else doing anything, we have to just keep going our own way. And hopefully that can continue, because I do want to see change. Whether it's 50+1, whether it's the Glazers out, I want to see change at that football club, because I think we're a sleeping giant. And I hate that statement, because that's apparently what Newcastle are. And Newcastle are not a sleeping giant, they're a sleeping shrew. We are a sleeping giant, and we need to release it. I feel that Manchester United, I'm always big on my analogies, but I feel like Manchester United is a lion locked in a cage. If you stick your fingers in, it will bite you, but it's not able to really, live free and be the real king of wherever it lives, because it's locked in a cage. We can beat Man City on our day. Stick your finger in the cage, Pep. We'll give you a scratch and a bite. But we can't really get him. We can't really get at Pep. And I don't want people to think about Pep being attacked by a lion. That's hideous. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is Pep can be another lion. Don't think of him as a person. That's really not. I don't like that thought. But we are locked in a cage, Manchester United, and we're locked in a cage, and the Glazers have got the key. And I think that's the way I've always looked at this. Manchester United are a sleeping lion. We can rule England and we can rule Europe, but we can't do it from the cage that the Glazers have locked us in. We are wasting away. They're not feeding us properly. We're not strong. We're not Manchester United. We need to be released from that cage. And can we do it? You are the RSPCA. Can you do it? I hope we can. Because one voice, 10 voice, 100 voices, 1,000 voices, even 1,000,000 voices is not going to be enough. We've got to try and stay together, and we've got to keep working. If the Glazers sell, then what would get saddled with an owner like Ashley? I want the Glazers out, but we need to consider what comes next, says Google. And any update from the government regarding the petition, says Vinit. No, absolutely, says Matt Hunt. I mean, we need to keep an eye on that petition. God knows when they'll have a look at it, but we've done our bits, haven't we? We've done our bit. That's what we've done. We can only do that. And look, I would be remiss of me not to talk about what could come next with the Glazers. They could sell. If they did sell, the talk is 4 billion. There's not many. I mean, oh God, it tires me, because if I was the Glazers, you're making so much money. Look, if you look at it from their side, and you've got to look at it from their side, otherwise you won't realise how hard it is going to be to get them out. But if I'm a Glazer, right, and you're Man United fans and you want me out, and I'm looking at it and I'm going, I just need to ride this out. Get them Sancho in the summer and shut them up. Because I tell you what, over the next 10 years, this club's going to keep going up in value. In 10 years' time, it'll be worth 6 billion. What investment is going to make my investment go from 4 billion to 6 billion in 10 years? There's not many things you can invest in that is going to go up, definitely. Manchester United will probably be worth 6 billion in 10 years' time. Are they going to sell that just because some people have been on the pitch in Manchester? No. They're going to say, well, this club's going to be worth 6 billion in 10 years. Spend 100 on Sancho. Get it done. Get the new kit out the same day that Sancho signed. Turn this around. And that's what they will do, because they're businessmen. They're going to do that. And if you don't think like they're going to think, you're not going to push it as far as it needs to be pushed. They are not going to want to give this up just because some United fans are unhappy, because the victory for them will be to get those Man United fans that are unhappy to go and buy a Jadon Sancho shirt this summer and be like, ha 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 ha, you walked on my pitch. You walked on my pitch. You thought you could get me out. 3 months later, you walked on my pitch. Who's the bitch now? You're buying a shirt with Jadon Sancho on the back, and I've played you, player. And that's what's going to happen. That is what's going to happen. Athea says, refund me, all my messages have been ignored and unpaid. Well, they've not been ignored, Athea. We're in a busy show. They don't always get read out. I apologise for that. Homes for Sale says, there's an idea a new club badge fans can put on their shirts a cage line with Glazers offering a plate of crumbs, says Homes for Sale. And unpopular as he was back in 2010, Wayne Rooney had it right by handing in the transfer request. He knew the Glazers didn't share the same ambition. That's from Dominic Hinz. And we were able to be angry until it became a problem for Sky and the Prem. We need to be united until the Glazers are out. Shout out to my wife Lily, says Osvaldo. Medel and McGugan will support you in every way possible here in India. And MU Delhi and MU Gorgon will support you in every way possible here in India. We can convince people not to buy shirts and One United memberships, says Sporty Virus. And protest might not change Glazers' mind, but forcing government's hand is key. 50+1 might not work, but they'll have to step in somehow if revolt continues, says Duncan. There's a few encouraging things there. And look, I hope people are watching, whether they don't like fan content or not. There's some really interesting comments there. There are Manchester United supporters club that are huge in India, in Australia, in America, in loads of other countries who want to get involved. They want to get involved. I've been messaged by these people. They want to get involved. Manchester United is a global fan base. They want to get involved. They want to, what can they do? And that's what we need to do. We need to get more and more and more people involved. That's what we need to do. We need to release the lion that's been caged up, which is Manchester United. And we're going to get played this summer. We are going to get played. I do think they'll buy Sancho. They might buy Sancho and Rice. And so many of you will be like, they're spending money. But they're still here. They're still here. Do I think they'll go? I know. Look, I'm not going to be negative. I don't think we've had an opportunity like this to remove them from our football club in a very long time. It's what we do with that opportunity as a fan base. I know if every single United fan didn't go into Old Trafford at the next home game, that would be impactful. I know if every single United fan didn't buy a Manchester United shirt, that would destroy them. I know that if every single Manchester United fan unsubscribed from MUTV, that would destroy them. I know that if every Manchester United fan didn't buy any merchandise anymore, that would destroy them. I know if every Manchester United fan boycotted every sponsor of Manchester United, that would destroy them. But you're never going to get every Man United fan to do that. So there is hope. Of course there is hope. 100% there is hope. But it's how we, as a fan base, do all that. There was talk of this protest in the middle of May today, and I was playing FIFA on YouTube. And people like protest on the 15th. And I was like, yeah, but who's organised the protest? Is it the people off Twitter organising it like they did 2 weeks ago? Or is it Must and everybody else who's not organised it, but is promoting it? I don't want to see a protest like 2 weeks ago again. I want to see protests and organised things like yesterday. Now, I know yesterday had some bad elements to it, but it was bigger, it was more organised, and it sent a bigger message. We can't run off doing our own individual things is what I'm saying. We're stronger united. We're stronger together. So if you are somebody that's thinking about, let's arrange a protest on Saturday at Old Trafford. I've got a big Twitter account. What I would say is great intention, but wait and do things together. Because if we splinter off into smaller things, we become divided and we need to stick united. Welcome to the Members Club, Bernard O'Rourke. Thank you very much. Somebody just said then, would Elon Musk buy us? Would you want him to buy us just because he's super rich? Do you want Manchester United to be bought by somebody who just, uses us as a play toy and then gets rid of us? I mean, the dream owner of Manchester United is probably, any good Man United fan you can think of who's got 20 billion in their bank. 4 billion for the Glazers, 4 billion for the infrastructure and players, and 12 billion for themselves. But do you know anyone like that? We also need the United fans in the US to protest outside the Tampa Bay stadium, says David Page. Look, I'm not going to ask people to do that. It'd be nice for people to do that. But, how many fans of Manchester United are in Tampa, But we're stronger together, definitely. We must be. Do you think Ollie's interview on Wednesday will be interesting in relation to the protest? I think he'll be asked about it. I think he'll condemn the bad parts of it. And I think he'll say that fans have a right to protest. But I don't really care what Ollie says. I don't know why people are looking for Ollie to vindicate everything. He's already said the Glazers are very good to him. And he's employed by the Glazers. I understand the difficulty of Solskjaer's position. Look, Solskjaer, what's Solskjaer going to do? I hate the Glazers, they're shit. Bye-bye, another manager comes in. Doesn't mean he gets the sack. Doesn't mean they're gone. If we want the Glazers out, it needs every United fan together to do it. And I'd love the Glazers to put their hand up and say, look, we've got this wrong. We've had what we've had. We know we've gone too far. We're going to sell the club. They could act maturely about this as well. I saw something today that no Glazer has ever been on a Man United fan forum or anything like that. They've never spoken to the fans. Would you trust them if they did now? I don't know. I don't know whether that's what people want, but it's certainly a good point that they've never bothered to in the past. Hi Mark, I run United Plug and have a big following across Twitter and Instagram. What can I do more in helping the right way, says Nate. Nate, I just keep your eyes open to what's going on. If you see anything that we're putting out or, Must or the Red Army or any other big account and they're all promoting the same thing, promote it. That's what I would say. I think if somebody... There will be things that... There might be another protest in the middle of May. There might be a coordinated thing around something else, and that's what we all need to jump on. And of course, as the United Stand at the moment, it's not wrong to say that United fans want the Glazers out, and we will support and use our community in any way we can to get that message across. If we stop spending at United, says Simon, they're just going to cut the transfer budget and keep their dividend safe, surely, says Simon. Yeah, but that only feeds into it. I'd rather United spent nothing this summer and the Glazers went than they spent £150 million and they were here for 15 years. Would you rather we spend nothing this summer and they're gone in a year, or would you rather we bought Declan Rice, Jadon Sancho and Varane this summer and they're here for 20 years? I think a lot of people would take those three signings because we'll win the league with them. Not if it's not followed up next year and the year after and the year after. Short-term success is not going to be what brings us success. If we stop, welcome to the Members Club, to Mr. Fur, and also it'd be cool to have like an online protest to let non-local fans help, like a web page where it's live and people can join to support Glazer Out movements, says Carlos. Yeah, look, there needs to be things organised better. There does, and there will. McGregor should buy United. I don't think he's got the money, mate. I don't think he has. Thoughts on the Must letter, says Selish. I think it just plans out what is wanted. Change is wanted. Change is wanted, and I believe change can happen. I really do. It will be difficult, but I really do, and I want people to feel positive because I think if people start feeling negative, they'll give up. I don't want people to give up. There's no promise at the end of this. I think the Glazers will be determined to win, and they will do that any way they can. And I don't blame them for trying to do that because they're doing it for money. They're doing it to stay in a position where they can continue to make money. They've got the right people in charge. They've got the right PR people in charge, and they're going to keep working hard to do that. There will be lots and lots of stories about transfers. There'll probably be transfers. There'll be talk about we're really going to try and do this, that and the other. But what I would say to that is, and I don't think the Glazers or Ed Woodward or Richard Arnold or Neil Ashton can really argue in their hearts when I say this. If the Glazers come out and buy some players in the summer and they promise that we're going to be a title winning side and that's the aim, did you not promise this 8 years ago? Did you not promise it 4 years ago? Did you not promise it 2 years ago? Did Mourinho not get given Pogba and Zlatan and we're going to win a title and we never did? Did Ollie not get Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka and the promise of winning a title and then you didn't spend anything the next summer? What they do for one summer can never be trusted. the problem with United is that we've had summers where we've bought quite well, and then the following summer, when we're in the Champions League, they don't do it. We know the tradition. We're in the Europa League, let's spend a lot of money to get back in the Champions League, and there we are, and now we're not going to back you. Oh, you finished second? Yeah, we're not going to back you, because that's where we want to be next year. So they cannot be trusted on any message that they put out. The question is, are you going to buy it? Are you going to buy the bullshit? Or are you going to believe it? You know? Up to you. Up to you. There's a good point here. Let me just read this, actually, that's just come in. Let's have a quick look at this. So I think this is coming from ESPN. If the major sponsors are being targeted in social media campaigns and they start pulling out, that's when it becomes difficult for them. That's from Mark Ogden, who writes for the ESPN, who is a journalist. But, you know, does that surprise you? You know, for many people over the years have looked at Manchester United sponsors and things like that, and you've got to be very, very careful with things like that, because I know a few people that obviously United have got a new kit sponsor, and people were abusing them on Twitter, and they ended up getting their account suspended, and quite rightly, actually. I think the you know, the frustration at these sponsors, you can understand it because they're funding the Glazers. But they're also, in fairness to those sponsors, they're not funding the Glazers. They want to be attached to the name Manchester United, and they want to be attached to the name Manchester United because of you. That's what they want to do. You know, Adidas want to be Man United shirt sponsor because they want you to buy it. Chevrolet wanted to be on the front of our shirt because they want you to see their brand as a positive thing next to Manchester United. I don't have a problem with the sponsors wanting to be sponsors of Manchester United. So to go on social media and abuse them is, you know, you're going to leave yourself open to get suspensions and everything. And that's quite right, in my opinion, because that's harassment. You know, it's online abuse. You shouldn't do that. But making these sponsors aware that, you know, you're not going to buy their products because they're a Manchester United sponsor and you don't want the Glazers, is that not simply saying, look, it's nothing against you as a sponsor, but your sponsorship money goes towards the Glazers, so, you know, come back when the Glazers aren't here. Those sort of things, maybe they could be impacted. I don't know how that would work. And obviously that's from ESPN and Mark Ogden, and he's talking about stuff like that. If every Manchester United sponsor withdrew their money, then the Glazers would be in big trouble. If every Manchester United player stopped buying merchandise, then the Glazers would be in big trouble, because where's the revenue coming in? You know, so those things are very impactful, but it needs greater minds than mine to, you know, construct how you do that. It's certainly up for discussion, but how you organise that is there to be discussed, isn't it? Create a social media pledge to stop all sponsors to United, and also to pledge to stop all purchases to United and all sponsors, says Nigel. I will not renew my Man United membership before the Glazers are gone. Let us show the Glazers that we will hurt them, says Lars. And I want us fans to be part of a governance. I don't care who owns the club, but there has to be a way we can vote on all important matters, like new director of football as an example, says Nick P. And I think that's the dream, Nick. 50+1 is about that. Fans want to say in Manchester United Football Club. So, you know, that is important. That is important, and that's what people want. The media will drive a narrative. That's not breaking news. That's not moaning. That's not sensationalism. People getting frustrated about the media driving a narrative. Of course, they're going to drive a narrative. The people who run these media companies, they're not people who are just like, you know, they're as opinionated as anybody. You know, if they decide that that's not good, they don't want to push that, or, you know, I've been around the edge of media. I've been at media companies for a day. You know, you go there for an interview, you're there all day, you see how things work, you listen to conversations, and trust me, when they're thinking about putting their content out, that's the sort of thing that can happen. That's the sort of, well, the sort of thing that can happen can be, right, Manchester United had a protest yesterday. We need some talking points for the day that are going to go viral. Let's condemn it. Let's say that hooliganism's back. Let's say that they've gone too far. Let's say that it's, why are they doing it anyway? Because they're just being greedy because they want more money to be spent on players. Look at the situation with Bolton, and Man United fans are moaning. These are the conversations they're having before it even goes live, because it generates conversation. So, the media will go with whatever's suitable on the day. They'll protect themselves and they'll play the game. Anyway, look, we could talk and talk and talk. Glazers forced out. There are numerous things ongoing, obviously. The Premier League will stop them from being able to go into a Super League. The FA are going to look at punishments potentially in relation to trying to get out in the Premier League in the first place. And the fan movement continues, and the ignorance continues in the media as well. So division is there, but as a fan base, we need to try and stay united. And I'll keep saying this as well. This is the one thing you need to keep in your head, and you can only answer honestly. United signed Sancho. Do you buy the shirt? Glazers in. Do you not buy the shirt? Glazers out. And that's the thing. That's the decision you're probably going to have to make here along the line. Are you going to jump back on the bandwagon of, we're buying this player, I better buy that shirt, Glazers in? Or are you actually going to go, you know what, this time, no, I'm not falling for it. You buy the player, he's very welcome, I'll keep supporting the team on the pitch, but I'm not going to fund you anymore. And that's the decision. And I'm not telling you what decision to make, and no one can tell you what decision to make, because in your heart, you know what decision you're going to make. But ultimately, if you keep funding them, you can't moan about them when they're here, because the only reason they're here is because they make so much money out of me and you. Rudolph, Murdoch and Glazers in cahoots. Even after the Super League fiasco, billionaires will always cover each other's backs, says Hacken. Right, anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. We're back in the morning at 10 a.m. and I'll speak to you all very soon. Thanks for watching.